As Small Business Week continues, you'll meet a couple of folks who are vital to the continued growth of the area. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on National Small Business Week, and we're visiting with Jay Huggins, the Executive Vice President and Director of Crescent Bank. Good morning, Jay.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks so much for getting in this morning. How exciting, National Small Business Week.
It really is, considering when you look at the chemistry of our market. It's a perfect fit for the Grand Strand.
Absolutely. All week, of course, we kicked off the week with the folks from SCORE, Dick Collett and Don Whiteman and a couple of the businesses they've helped set up, and of course Crescent Bank in so many ways. Aspect as a community bank, but particularly focused on, as a small group and constantly growing. It's a very exciting opportunity.
It really is. I mean, that's to a great extent why Crescent Bank started here on the Grand Strand, because of all the small businesses. It's a good fit for our background, which myself and David Morrow, who's the president and CEO of the bank, and the two of us are two of the 12 founding directors. And we looked at this community, and we had ties to it. The directors had ties, and we said a small focused bank on commercial lending, which is primary opportunities that we see down here for our little company that fits us real well. I mean, what a wonderful place, and we have abundance of entrepreneurs down here.
Absolutely. And Jay, when you talk about, for viewers in the PD or in southeast North Carolina or even down here, just the basics of commercial lending, when you say that, I mean, folks think of banks oftentimes just for storing their deposits or for financing their mortgage. Are any of those tied to commercial, or is commercial lending just that, small businesses? Or?
It's all a piece that comes together to make the whole pie. The thrust of our lending efforts are primarily towards small businesses, which we would categorize as really anyone that didn't have a major financial need that's in the multi-millions of dollars. And in this area, there are a tremendous amount of small businesses that need $100,000 for working capital or $300,000 for a real estate loan. So we focus on that. But you got to fund those. And so the other beautiful side of our community is we have a large retirement presence who tend to have some deposits. They are very much risk adverse, so they're looking for CDs. They're looking for soundness in principle and a fair return on their money. And so, yeah, we need the retail piece, the depositor, and we need the lending piece, which are the small businesses, because they generally use more cash than they provide cash.
Well, that requires you to wear two very dramatically different hats, Jay, to be able to cater to the folks and encourage them that Crescent Bank's a safe place to be and a place to put their funds for the retiree community, but also to stress to small business owners, which are...
Absolutely. And David, to a great extent, spends a lot of his time helping us gather the deposits. He stays focused on that, monitoring rates and seeing what the bank's needs are, as well as he does spend time on the commercial side. And I, to a great extent, spend most of my time on the commercial side dealing with the small businesses. So it makes for a nice combination for the two of us, because it would really be very challenging to wear both those hats at the same time.
Absolutely, Jay. Well, speaking of hats, how about yourself? Are you originally from the area?
Born in Florence. Primarily all of my family still resides in Florence County. My mother relocated over here in '69 from the best of my memory with me, and she remarried at the time. And other than that, I've been raised here. I don't have a lot of memories of Florence other than visiting back. And went to high school here. I actually went to college here as well.
Is that right? Where'd you go? Is that Coastal Carolina?
Coastal Carolina. You know, it's really come a long ways. I was out there this past weekend for the football game, and I truly went to a community college when I graduated there in '88. And it's turned into a very nice university, and I think it's going to be one of the big three in the state of South Carolina when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Immediate family here in the area with you?
Yeah. My wife, Cheryl, who's from Atlanta, that I met early in my banking career. I was able to convince her to relocate here in '94, and we were fortunate to have two sons, Max and Sean, 8 and 6 years old.
That's wonderful. What was your first job after graduation? Were you in Atlanta?
Yeah, I was. That's where I started. CNS Bank, which is, unfortunately, I'll say, because it was a wonderful place to work, is no longer in existence. It was acquired by a larger bank as some of the trends have continued in the banking industry. That was their headquarters. And they started me in their management program in around '88 after college, and stayed there for 6 years. Thoroughly enjoyed being in Atlanta. A wonderful place to meet my wife, a wonderful place for us to start our marriage, and it was very nice to get back to a small market to raise your family.
Yes, Jay, and what prompted y'all's move back here in '94 when you somehow convinced Cheryl to leave the Peach State and head to the Palmetto State?
It took some convincing, because Cheryl is from the Peach State and a graduate of Emory, and so she had spent her whole life in Atlanta. David Morrow, through an indirect connection, he and I began to talk. At the time, I was not aware of Carolina First Bank, who he was employed with and who I ultimately joined, and was just really impressed with David, was very impressed with Carolina First. They've proven to be a very good regional-sized bank in this area, and David convinced me that coming back home would be a good fit for me, and I convinced Cheryl that a smaller market would be a great fit for us to raise a family.
Did David have to do some arm twisting on Cheryl, or was there any, I mean, it was just a...
No, Cheryl really, I think, was very open to it.
Great.
Because she saw it as an opportunity for me to advance my career. And, you know, at times in your life you have to prioritize things. And we felt like, given that we wanted to have a family and we wanted to put some roots in, then progressing my career was probably a good move for our family.
Jay, you talked about you and David and the other 10 directors organizing the bank. When was Crescent Bank formed, or when did it open its doors, and who worked with you in organizing the institution?
I left Carolina First August 30th of 2000, and David and I left. He left that summer, and I left shortly thereafter. And we had, up to that point, had some very minor discussions with several potential directors, and we decided to somewhat take the chance that a lot of our entrepreneurial businesses will do around here. Hopefully they manage it well, and hopefully we've done that. And we met with a lot of directors, and I'm sure I can't mention them all, but you know, the Billy Alfords, the Danny Isaacs, Lee Proctors, Scott Brandon, Steve Taylor, to mention just a few of them. And we talked with them, and everyone agreed. We had Anchor Bank go away, which was acquired by Carolina First. That was based here, a very strong commercially oriented bank. And we saw the opportunity for us to continue, and to some extent in Anchor's footsteps that they had started 20-plus years earlier, and hopefully in the long run to continue in a little bit different path and hopefully remain around for a long time.
Well, Jay, what's that like, organizing I mean, obviously there are actually quite a few community banks on the Strand. You've got some great competition.
We really do. We're fortunate in this area to have a lot of other banks. We think they tend to focus on different segments of the market. Some of them are very good at the retail side. Some of them do a little bit of both well, and we think we've got a niche focusing on the small commercial businesses. So there's an abundance for it, and starting it up, you know, you have to have obviously a good business plan. You have to be able to convey that plan, and this market was a big part of that, to potential shareholders. So we spent the first 6 months meeting with roughly about 300 different individuals and convincing them that our investment was a sound investment and that it was good for them and good for this community. And then we actually opened up July 2nd of 2001. So it took almost a year to go through the process and get all the proper approvals and the capital to open the door.
And there are quite a few approvals that have to happen, both on the state side and the federal side, to really make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely, because I doubt we would convince many of our depositors on the retiree side that a brand new bank without FDIC insurance was a good, sound place to park their money. So you do need the FDIC approval, and we're a state chartered bank, so you have to be approved by them as well.
Jay, you talked about some of the difference between a large regional or national bank and a community bank. What would be, if you had a chance in only 30 seconds to tell somebody the prime differences, what would that be?
The large regional banks, I think, do an outstanding job with the extremely large companies. Small banks, we can't lend someone $10 million. That's not the niche that we're after. What we think we add to the Myrtle Beach market, and what I think community banks do around the country, we play an important role to the smaller communities where there are unique needs. In this area, we have restaurants, we have golf courses, we have putt-putts, beachwear stores. The larger banks are going to do what somewhat, say, are credit scoring type models that they determine whether they should make this loan or not. And we go back to somewhat of the basics of lending. We look at who's running the business. We look at their ability to run the business. We look and try to see they understand it as well. And then we make sure that we're making a good, sound loan to them that will help them and ultimately will be repaid to help us. So I think small community banks, they place their bets in the markets that they do business. And by doing that, I think you have a vested interest in the success of that community as well as that company. It all works in a nice circle. And so I think a community bank has an understanding and a commitment that's much greater than a regional or a national bank can have.
And Jay, you think the community's business leaders have accepted the entrance of Crescent Bank well?
Yeah, I do, because when you look at our board, you know, you've got an Edgerton Burroughs, you've got a Billy Alford, to just mention two, a Dick Rosen is a third. Those three individuals have been leaders in our community for a long time. They've laid a great groundwork for the Grand Strand area, and would they see this, I'm comfortable saying on their behalf, they see Crescent as an important part of the future of the Grand Strand, because we always need small companies being supported in this area.
Absolutely, Jay. With our focus on Small Business Week this week, National Small Business Week, how do you think Crescent Bank serves the entrepreneurs and small businessmen directly here on the Strand?
I think what differentiates us and what helps us do that is I've been in banking 15 years. Primarily 13 of them have been on the commercial side. David's been in banking several more years than me. I won't say exactly because I don't want to misrepresent it, but he's been on the commercial lending side 20 plus years. We've got another lender, Jerry Falig, that spent his whole career on the commercial side. So when we meet with someone, we think we have a very good understanding of what businesses can and should not do within reason. Now, we want to listen and try to understand everything, but when we meet with someone, you're going to have a decision maker that's, one, very good at what he does. And so he's going to listen, understand what the customer's looking for, and then his challenge is to try to find that balance that fits the customer's needs and what the bank's looking for. And so it's a commitment to that small business. And we do that by putting highly skilled people out there that we think do an excellent job.
With all this focus on lending and really getting out there into the marketplace, Jay, do you have time for any outside activities?
Absolutely. It's important to be balanced in life, as we all know. Some of us at times tend to forget that, but unequivocally, I think we've done a good job as a bank of setting those priorities, because we've worked in scenarios where you didn't have time. I'm very involved at the Grand Strand YMCA. We have other involvements from the United Way to several other charities out there. My children, unequivocally, and my wife are the priority. And so our involvement in the community, that's one of my ways to spend time with our children. So I coach two kids' soccer teams, coach both of my kids. And so when I have some free time, the bank is very good at supporting me to get off work early a couple of days a week, go coach some teams, and that's part of our foundation that we're going to grow with.
Jay, we got about a minute, so I wanted to ask two quick questions. Is there a real significance to being locally owned and operated?
Obviously, I think so. You've got roughly, let's just say we had 100 investors that capitalized Crescent. 90 of them live in this community. The commitment that those people made to start a business, that there were no guarantees. There was a business plan and there was a vision, but there were no guarantees. So your commitment to your success is critical. And we started down the path with a lot of local people that believed in Crescent Bank and where we wanted it to go. And that commitment filters throughout the community, because as everyone knows, word of mouth is important. And if you do a good job, word of mouth will take care of a lot of the future for you. So we feel very strong about the community that we've started in and our commitment to it, and as well as the shareholders' commitment that got the doors open for us.
Lastly, Jay, what do you think is giving you the greatest sense of accomplishment in your association with Crescent Bank?
You know, there's probably no one event, Greg. You know, when you start out in banking, I don't think many of us visualize being a part of a startup bank. That's a pretty big mountain that you would have to climb, even though in the biggest sense we're a small company. We truly are. But you start out gaining the background, and you ultimately get the experience to where you feel you can do it. So the opportunity to step off, I guess, the cliff and say there are no guarantees that Crescent will ever open, but let's give it a try. And to get the doors open was the first mile marker, I guess, in the marathon. For us to turn profitable was a big mile marker. For us to grow our organization and branch, you know, so there's a bunch of them. But in the end, I don't think there's anything better than seeing the staff evolve and grow with your company, and your customers grow and evolve with your company. Because if those come together, then in the end, everything works real well.
Staff and customers growing and evolving, opening the doors in the first place, turning a profit, seeing a second branch open, and then a third, and then a fourth, and continuing to make that community commitment. It's something exactly what Crescent Bank's doing. Jay, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to Craig Smith coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on National Small Business Week, and we're visiting with Craig Smith, the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for getting in this morning. Of course, all week, how exciting to think of the score coming in on Monday and Tuesday, and Carolina Trust Federal Credit Union and the Disney Institute yesterday, and of course to see the excitement of Jay earlier this morning on a superior small business. The Radisson we don't normally think of as a small business.
Well, for in Myrtle Beach, it's I guess relatively speaking, it is a small business. Radisson, owned by Carlson Hotels Worldwide, is a very large business, but in the scheme of things locally, we are a small business.
Absolutely, and a very new business. Very new.
We opened in January of this year, and it's been all good since. So.
How long have you been on board, Craig?
On their recent history, it's since May, about mid-May.
Okay.
I came from California.
Great.
Spent about 4 years out in California. And was out at the Hotel Del Coronado and another smaller property out there for about 4 years. And prior to that, I was up in West Virginia at the Greenbrier and down in Florida. So a few properties throughout the country.
Great. How long were you with the Greenbrier?
About 4 years. It was right at the time they opened the bunker down under for the Congress. So it was an exciting time there.
White Sulphur Springs is very nice. Are you originally from the area?
From Rochester, New York, originally.
Okay.
And Buffalo Bills fan, of course. So
it's a big day. Do you have family here with you, Craig?
I do. I've got a wife, Jennifer, and 2 small children, a 2.5-year-old and a newborn. It's about a month old. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. Keep us busy.
Is it a boy or girl? 2 girls?
A couple girls. Riley and Molly. So,
oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's good. It's really a great transition. The decision to move east was really made on how things change in life, and certainly family was a part of that, to be closer to the family. So we made the decision to come east. So.
Is your wife involved in the hospitality industry at all?
She used to be, and that's really how we met. She was we met out in Arizona a few years ago, and she spent some time out in Hawaii as well, out at Four Seasons. So.
Mm-hmm. Craig, what prompted your interest in the hospitality industry originally?
I was bartending at the time at a hotel through college, and ended up getting into really a sales position, intro sales position at a hotel up in Rochester, a telemarketing position, and everything kind of fell into place from there. And over the course of 20 years, had made the moves, east and west, and find myself in Myrtle Beach today.
So when folks ask you what was your first position in the field, it's that opportunity coming right out of college after bartending with the.
That is correct. Right out of college, and then from bartending into an intro sales position, telemarketing, trying to stimulate business into the hotel.
What responsibilities are included in your role as the Director of Sales and Marketing?
The responsibilities really focus on stimulating additional demand into not only the hotel, but the city in general. And we do that through strategy and initiatives that are based around larger group business. We've keyed and changed the direction a little bit from regional sales and marketing efforts into more of a national campaign, more of a national feeder markets, New York, Philadelphia, Eastern Quarter kind of business, as well as Atlanta and some of the surrounding major cities.
And the convention market is a strong component of this aspect.
Very strong, and by advent of just the situation that we're in and being connected to the convention center, it really puts us in a great position to pursue some of those larger groups that we feel can impact the area in a very big way.
Some of the groups you were in prior to arriving at the Myrtle Beach, the Radisson Plaza Hotel, the Del Coronado, or the Greenbrier, were those a hotel or groups that attracted large conventions as well?
Very much. It's a little different setup. The Greenbrier, the Hotel Del were more individual hotels, good-sized properties. However, they didn't have the luxury of being connected to a convention center, which we do. So.
What features and attractions do you highlight for prospective groups, Craig?
We'd like to feed off the extraordinary infrastructure that Myrtle Beach has to offer. We're in the process of playing out a citywide sales and marketing plan that the first step was to identify like cities that offer similar accommodations, similar exhibit space, such as Knoxville, Memphis, and pursue the business that we might find going there. And really, I don't want to say an easy sell, but a sell that makes sense, because we feel that we do have so much more to offer here in the way of golf and entertainment. The other piece of that functionality of space and rooms.
We around the first of the year, we were at the actually very happy to be at the presidential suite in the Ras Malaz Hotel. They're focused on the Heart Ball, the upcoming Heart Ball, and the kickoff of the hotel. And it was either Tom Leith or Michael Pointer that made one of the most important points about the hotel, that it's not necessarily to cater to all the folks coming to convention, but in so many ways it's to cater to the folks that are working the convention, so that they can go up and down to their hotel room, because there's so many other hotels close by. And that's the great, great aspect of a large convention or large group coming to the area, is that so many of the meeting planners are able to stay right there on site and not have to walk a long distance like they were doing prior to the opening of the hotel.
It's a great solution to be a year-round group destination. You've got the convenience of being connected to the center. You don't have necessarily the weather worries, not that you would in Myrtle Beach, but on occasion you do worry about that. But more and more destinations are looking into adding a hotel to their center. So.
Mm-hmm. Craig, has there been a pretty positive interest from corporate prospects?
Very positive. I think getting the word out, and really what we use in the way of some of the marketing, this changes everything. And it's certainly not to discount the hotel product in town, but we'd like to think of ourselves as a little different, raising the level to a 4-diamond standard in the way of facilities and service. And I think that's really what a lot of the blue chip corporate and association groups look for. And with us and then some other product coming into town in the next year, I think we're starting to get known as really more of a primary destination. Mm-hmm. It's a great alternative.
For our viewers in the PD or in southeastern North Carolina or even in Horry County who haven't seen the location on the corner of Oak and 21st Avenue, what makes the Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center, a first-class hotel? When you talk about the 4-diamond aspect, I think there's the Cypress Inn in Conway is the only other 4-diamond, maybe the Litchfield Resort, maybe not.
Sure. Really, the AAA has specific standards, and to exceed those standards, you've really gone a long way. The standards have really tightened up a little bit over the course of the last couple of years, and they look for service standards, facility standards, and to meet and exceed those, you're really in what I would say an elite group of hotels throughout the country. And we think, in addition to that, the whole packages, we've really captured what planners are looking for in the way of being a couple of blocks from the beach and very, very centrally located and offering the convention center space as well.
Craig, we got about 3 minutes. Does the flexibility of the convention center's facilities help you in your marketing efforts?
Very much. It really it helps us to expand our world, so to speak, and who we speak to and who we sell to and who we market to. Reaching out to some of those key feeder markets, groups that are looking for the larger space. We just had a large group in recently, Badcock Furniture, that really was an ideal group, filled the hotel and into other hotels in the city and filled the center. And that's really a kind of a profile group that we look for.
Mm-hmm. And when you're thinking about some of the aspects, some of the differential aspects between Memphis and Knoxville and Myrtle, for example, what makes a convention in Myrtle Beach better and more convenient than a convention in one of those cities, for instance?
Even beyond the obvious reasons of being on the beach and some of the infrastructure of entertainment, I think South Carolina has a great way of embracing people that come into town. We as the family have certainly been embraced with not only the neighborhood, but anyone we've come in contact with, and I think that goes a long way to speak to the service levels that are inherent to the area.
Mm-hmm. Craig, obviously with this focus on Small Business Week, speaking of that word small, do you accommodate small groups as well as large ones?
We do. We've got an outstanding boardroom. It's a very high-tech boardroom. It seats up to 15 people that we provide for local board meetings, as well as other breakout space. Again, you talk about the service levels and the room product. I think that's what, to a degree, that they look for. Local, on the food and beverage side, really, we're focusing on different programs that are going to impact the food and beverage, the delis and M-Bar. Mm-hmm. We've got a VIP program out there, and we're going into the holiday season with a winter wonderland. And the concept really speaks to a solution for the small business owner, their holiday party needs. Rather than going out and renting a complete venue and hiring the entertainment, we do all that for you at a very attractive price point.
Great. How exciting. If a local business owner or somebody even in our area, in the PD or in southeastern North Carolina, was interested in finding out about that, who would they want to contact?
I want to contact Rita Gray at 918-5000. And we have 3 identified dates in December, December 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th, that we're launching this Winter Wonderland. That's
wonderful. Were you involved in the August DuPont CoolMax Amateur Tournament, Craig?
We were. We were very, very involved with it. By virtue of being adjacent to the 19th hole, which got a lot of play as well. The DuPont, we're pleased with the results from the hotel standpoint. I think that will build as we move into the future. DuPont is it's a group that's been coming here for many years, and I think the people that have come to town have their places they want to stay, and a lot of interest in the Radisson, just walking through it, and I think our business from the hotel standpoint will build in that regard as well.
You heard him say it. Small groups as small as 15, as large as the many thousands. There's so many reasons to end up. And I'm so glad Craig opened up with the aspects of the Radisson as a small business, because it truly is that in so many ways, albeit tied to a very large group, the small aspect you'd recognize in walking in and seeing folks like Craig Smith. Craig, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Jay Huggins of Crescent Bank and Craig Smith of the Radisson Plaza Hotel Myrtle Beach Convention Center for helping round out National Small Business Week and making today's Carolina People such a great success.